Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
What is the most paranormal thing you have ever encountered? The strangest thing to ever happen to you?
Before I start my story, I'll point out a few things. 1. I'm from South America, so my English is a little bad. 2. In my country, we have a myth of something called Póra. Basically is a ghost-like creature with long arms that wanders the woods. It's extremely harmful towards humans. If you happen to be unlucky enough to encounter one, you should run till you see a river or a lake and jump in it. Apparently, they can't get in the water. 3. There are many specific chants that can drive away bad entities, and I learned a few of them, including the anti-Póra one. 4. My family owns many lands around the county for cattle, all rural areas. This means that I spend a lot of my time in the woods for fun. 5. My friend who happens to be with me when this happened is a city person. He has no idea about these myths, or even speaks the Guarani dialect correctly, which is very important to communicate with people in rural areas. Me last year. Arrived at my parents' farm, hot day. Tell friend to get ready, we go camping with a few drovers. Sweet anon time to test my new bow. Drovers arrived. Say hi to them. One of them got off the horse and asked us what's with the baggage anon. Me. Kick, what is with it? Drover. Horses can't carry that much, besides today we're staying in the church. It isn't a real church, just an old construction. Me. Oh, okay, that's convenient. Drover. Let's do this, boys, we're going. All of us got on our horses and followed the guy. Finally arrived and starting to prepare the place, make some fire and start cooking. Me and mate went to test his new bow and got some birds for dinner. At night, we all were sitting near the fire and dining in hell, needed to say it, lol. Guys start telling some scary stories and those kinds of things. What a cliche, right? Many drovers went to guard the cattle and just a few of us remained in the church. Went to sleep very quickly because my lazy ass. In the middle of the night, I felt something crawling over my body slowly. Nope.web. Fuck, what the hell is this? Couldn't move, I got sleep paralysis. I'm pretty used to having sleep paralysis, so it doesn't bother me anymore. I can get rid of it pretty quickly. When I finally could move, I jumped up and started throwing things to the ground in an attempt to hit whatever was crawling over me. I don't know how I managed to pick a lantern in the darkness. Lucky me, I guess. I started to look for the thing but didn't see shit. At this point, I was shitting bricks already. Then I remembered one old story my grandma used to tell. Apparently, the Póra has a tendency to use his long arms to sneak into camp and touch people or something like that. It was a cattle pond a few steps from the church. I didn't hesitate to run as fast as I could and head into it. Once in the pond, since it isn't deep, I laid down and stuck only my face out to breathe. Then I started to sing the chant for making the entity go away. A few minutes passed and my friend and the drovers came for me. Mate, anon, what are you doing? Get the hell out of there. You have a death wish or something. Kept singing. Drovers immediately understood what I was doing. Get your horses now, we're out of here. Drover helped me out of the pond, then we rode as fast as we could out of that place. We left almost everything behind, even the cattle. When we arrived at the main house, I went straight to the bathroom to take a shower. I was covered in mud and smelled awful. Then I went to the kitchen and I heard a maid talking with one of the drovers. Conversation goes like this. Maid asked, "What happened to you?" Drover said, "We got an unpleasant visit at the church." Maid, oh Lord, started crying. I knew something was odd about that church. Drover. It wasn't the first time, Mr. Anon. My father told us to stay away from that place and we kept coming anyway. Maid. Thank God y'all safe, and Anon and his friend. Drover, both of you are safe here, but we have to go back. Maid, do it in the morning, it's safer. Went to sleep after that, and in the morning our stuff was already in the house. Friend asked me what happened that night and why did we leave that way. I tell him the story and what happened. He thought it was bullshit and we all overreacted. I wish it was just that.
This was just about an hour ago, actually, so keep that shit in mind. A while back, I was texting a friend of mine, and something I sent him shows up as a link on his screen, but not mine. He taps it, and it takes him to a house on Google Maps. The place happens to be literally a 5-minute walk from my house. And what's more, it's a house that got torn down, but the debris was left to rot. I was going to go there only once I got my AK, but curiosity got the better of me, and I walked to it today. It was all centered around the chimney, with a bunch of wood leaning on it. There were 4 sections that were totally open, each part of a room. I checked them for easy ways up. The rubble had formed a sort of wall, and there weren't any. So I take the hard way. I climb up all these rotting planks so I can see this doorway better. It leads to what looks like a tiny little room with some detergent sitting on the floor. It was probably the guy's laundry room. Not wanting to be assaulted by insects, I throw a pen in. I always keep like 5 on me for no goddamn reason. Nothing happens, and I can't see the pen anymore. Curiously, I go around to the back and pull a board out of the rubble. I return to the doorway and throw it in. It gets stuck on some more rubble, but about half of it goes through the door. I look closer, and that half is gone. Clean edge too. It just disappeared. I go back home. I ain't going back there without my AK.
I've got one. Bit of backstory before Greentext. My family and I lived out in the boondocks of Oklahoma near the remains of an old flooded highway that had become a lake. On our property, there was an over 90-year-old farmhouse, a rusted-out 3x6 storm shelter, and an old tin barn. The farmhouse was notoriously haunted. There were even a few articles written about it over the years. The ghost was apparently harmless. People had affectionately named him Charlie. One day the old farmhouse mysteriously burned down. Nothing was left but ash and the cracked remains of the foundation. This story takes place about a year after that. Be me. 15. My friend and I decided to take our girlfriends to the old barn. Pick them up from their houses and drive out to the barn. Park in the overgrown gravel driveway of the old farmhouse and walk to the barn. The barn is relatively small, about 20 by 20, made of tin, mostly overgrown and rusted to hell. By the time we arrived and started the campfire, it was pretty damn dark. Middle of nowhere kind of dark. We were there for a few hours without incident, laughing and cracking jokes. Suddenly we heard a noise in a pitch-black section of the barn. Sounded like someone with a deep voice clearing their throat, but slowed down somehow. We weren't sure we really heard it, but then it happened again in the opposite part of the barn, but slightly quieter. Nope, 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 .jpag. We all ran out to the remains of the driveway. We stopped and watched the barn. You know how when you stare into a pitch-black room, your eyes play tricks on you, and you see shit move. I saw movement like that for a long time staring at the barn. A weird, thin, white-ish shape would move back and forth across the field in front of the barn. I mentioned that my eyes were messing with me. Then everyone else said that they were experiencing the same issue. We all laughed it off, kept watching the barn and field. Suddenly, my friend said something that made us all realize something rather creepy. Haha, yeah, my eyes are fucking with me pretty bad. I keep seeing a weird white thing pop up in different places. We all realized that we were seeing the same thin white figure in the same exact places at the same exact times. Compared to the height of the barn, I would estimate that it was probably 6 feet tall. It didn't really run or teleport. It floated quickly back and forth. Suddenly it was gone for a few moments. We kept staring. Then we saw it less than 30 feet from us on the remains of the foundation. We bolted to our cars and got the hell out of there. We never went back at night again for as long as I lived out there.
A few days ago, I visited Stonehenge after a long trip through several ancient shrines and temples around Europe. I'm not sure why exactly I decided to go there, as I didn't have much time. Last day in England, and I was already extremely tired, but I felt something was really calling me. The weather in London wasn't great. Cloudy, quite humid and hot. But as soon as my train was getting closer to Salisbury, a medieval town from where the buses to Stonehenge depart, the weather improved drastically. It was now a mild and beautiful sunny day. Then, when I was getting out of the station to get into the bus, a super weird insect that looked like a dragonfly of a metal blue color, I believe it's called a demoiselle, came into my direction and landed in my hand. Maybe they are common in the UK, but it was absolutely magical to me. Anyways, after a 30 minutes ride to the Stonehenge Visitors Centre, and then a short shuttle, I was finally there. It is a really beautiful and serene place, I should say, surrounded by soft hills, tiny patches of woods and typical British sheep walking around. I felt some sort of connection to this place, more than any other shrine I had visited previously on this trip. So I just sat barefoot to enjoy the afternoon and observed this mythical sanctuary that somehow reminded me of a wristwatch. I'm now back home, and I feel like something really deep has changed in the universe. First of all, I feel physically and mentally better than I had felt in the last decade, at least. My chronic depression and mind fog has vanished. But the most strange sensation I have is like I went back in time. I really can't explain it, but it feels like I am back in 1999. I know it makes no sense, but this is how I feel. And I'm not a person who is into mysticism and that kind of stuff. I'm honestly not sure what's going on. It's the strangest thing that happened to me in a very long time.
I have one to contribute. Work dockside security in major city on the West Coast. Not Navy, but guard Navy ships when they come in. Carry a rifle. Full tactical kit. Navy supplied nods. Work night shift. Only 2 other guys and 2 Navy security forces dockside aboard the ship. 5 in total. Both Navy guys just check IDs. Standing with them one day. The dockyard is a good mile from the gate to the southern point of the docks. Very foggy, extremely cold. Almost all persons, with exception of security personnel and higher brass, required to have on reflective vest. This particular night, it's pushing 30 degrees. Snow everywhere. Hasn't iced over yet, fortunately. Talking with one of the Navy guys because we haven't had a person come through the gangway checkpoint in a few hours. About 300 hours. The other Navy guy is on his phone, not paying attention. Hear one of my guys yell to leave the area. This is a restricted area. Can hear splashing coming from between the dock and the ship. Rush over. Nothing. Guard radios. What did you guys find? Nothing. No one's here. I just saw him there. Well, he didn't swim away. He just heard him. And I was staring at him the whole time. It's like he just disappeared when you got close. What did he look like? He looked like one of the dockside employees. Well, he ain't here now. Roger, keep your head on a swivel. It's too cold to be in the water tonight. Me and the 2 Navy guys head back to the checkpoint. The rover dockside continues his patrol. All is well for a little while. See someone walking in the distance towards us in the yard. Who the fuck? Everyone's supposed to be on the ship, or at the hotel the Navy got for the crew. He has a suitcase in his hands and a bag on his back. He's a bit off and we can't tell what he looks like. There's no one scheduled to come in until 7:30 hours. Put my hand on my rifle's foregrip and switch the safety off. This is a restricted area. Identify yourself. No response. He just keeps walking toward us. This is a restricted area. Identify yourself. No response. Navy Guy 2 radios in that we have a subject not responding to our hailing. He's getting closer, probably at 300 meters now. Can make out his clothes. It's a black uniform. Clearly looks like he didn't get his new dress whites. He just keeps coming. Navy guys finally decide to turn on floodlights at 100 meters. Should have completely blinded him. He doesn't even look fazed. Has a warming smile on his face. We are completely stunned by this. And the fact he has a completely black uniform. Navy guys standing there staring at him. He walks up to the guard shack. Hello there, boys. Hands us his credentials. Expired in 43. I look at the Navy guys next to me. He nods nervously. I hand him back his ID. Thanks, fella. Geez, you boys look like you've seen a ghost. Has a grin on his face. Notice his teeth are rotted and most are missing. I freeze, realizing why the Navy guys are being weird. His face is horribly disfigured. Notice I've been looking at his uniform this entire time, just waiting for this guy to pull a gun, step back in shock. He becomes visibly annoyed. Hear yelling behind us. Turn around to see an officer running down gangway ramp yelling at us, waving his hands frantically. Turn back to see him gone. Navy guys are sobbing. Where the fuck did he go? They are crying hysterically. Mate on watch arrives. Where did that guy go? I don't know, sir. I looked to see who was yelling at us, and when I turned back, he was gone. I'm raising the ship's security level to condition 4. No one is sleeping until we find that sailor. I ask, who was that guy, mate? Long story. But in the 40s, they had a guy fall off the ship and get caught between the pylons and the ship. We've had this problem before, but he's never come up to us until tonight. Come on, help me get these guys back on the ship. Radio in the roving guard to get his ass to the shack and wait for me to return. End up having to carry this guy up the ramp. As I'm picking him up from the snowy ground, I notice something. No footprints. There was someone standing in front of me, and there's no footprints. Get the guy to the medics waiting on the ship. Mate on watch raises general alarm. Tells the whole ship that we're on condition 4 security. All security forces report to your stations. For the rest of night, we're at full force. 7:30 hours rolls around. The ship's captain comes strolling through the checkpoint. Salutes were had. Mate, why are you at full force and I was not notified? He looks at me. Officer Anon thought he saw someone, sir. He looks at me. I look at mate. Fucker. Yes, sir. I heard splashing between the docks and ship, but found nothing, sir. Mate on watch figured, since we didn't find anything, that there was no need to tell the captain. I look at mate with an evil grin. I see. Carry on then, Anon. Thank you for your hard work. The rest of the shift I just sit in the guard shack and ponder the night. I was never offered a better explanation than what the mate on watch gave me. But I was visited by the ghost of a sailor who accidentally offed himself and survived. I still have nightmares about his face sometimes, but that same ship pulled into port a few days ago, and I'm scheduled to work it this upcoming work week.
I had a toy dinosaur that I'd gotten when I was really young. 6 or 7, I think. It was a cheap, soft plastic dinosaur with a voice box that made a roar when you pushed the button, and it required a 9-volt battery. I had it for years, and at some point it ended up in old boxes from a move. I was going through them when I was in middle school, so when I was around 13 or 14, and found it. I pushed the button, and it kind of groaned instead of roaring. The noise was the same, but it was like it played in slow motion. I thought that the battery must be drained since it had been years since I last messed with it, so I removed the cover to replace the battery, only to find that there was no battery. How did it make any noise at all with no source of power? I thought maybe it had somehow stored energy, so I kept pushing the button thinking that it would eventually drain whatever was stored. It never did stop making that groan every time you pushed the button. A friend and I decided to burn it after making a middle schooler's determination that it was indeed possessed.
Not much of a poster, but I'll give it a shot. Move into farmhouse at age 3. Happy family of 3. Good jobs, good life all around. Year 1. After 1 year, parents start growing distant, trying to have a second child and failing repeatedly. I was a completely complicationless baby. Mom starts getting hormonal treatment and gets clinically depressed, even bipolar. Scorpion infestation. Year 2. Parents argue almost constantly now. Dad grows jealous and overprotective of me towards my mother. Mom becomes ignorant of me altogether, leaving me alone in a huge house for 12 to 14 hours a day. My sister was born. Settles down for a while. Mom and Dad start doing activities like trips to Six Flags and candy treasure hunts. Mom locks me out of the house several times a month from ignorance. Ladybug infestation. Year 3. Both of the cars break down the same day. Mom's depression becomes overwhelming. Fighting gets worse than before. Nasty divorce. Grasshopper infestation. Year 4. Start regularly dreaming about some being wrapped in gowns peering over me in the night. I had a high-rise bed. Sister essentially kidnapped by Mom. Tick infestation. Mom goes to jail after nasty legal battles between her and my dad. Year 5. Dad finally leaves the farm. Remarries. Gets a better job. Lives happily since. I'm not sure if it can really be considered paranormal, but if curses exist, that house fucking is. I spent 7 years of my life there, and I have like 5 good memories and countless bad ones.
Be me 13. Went to a friend's house to play video games. Both got tired and went to the kitchen for lunch. Friend says, "Hey, Anon, there is a really cool building near here. Let's go check it out." I thought, this is going to be good. We grab our skates and head to the building. Finally arrived place looked creepy, but in a fun way. Immediately switched to punk mode and started to trash the place up. I heard my friend yell my name, "Anon, come check this out." "What is it, brah?" he replied. "What is that thing?" At first I thought it could be some kind of rotten bird. Then we got closer, and we saw it. A fetus of something. It wasn't human, covered with black feathers and colored cords. My face when I saw that, it was served to a satanic idol like Pick kinda related. Both spooked. We got the hell out of that place as fast as we could. Never saw something like that in my life. Maybe some edgelords worshipping some demon I do not know.
English is also not my first language. Bee camping in the woods. Around 10 p.m., autumn last year. Large storm is incoming. Excited about it. Really, I love storms. Go for a walk around. Suddenly lightning strikes all around. I stand near this big bush, away from the trees. Turn around in circles. Try to predict where the next one will strike. Literally in whichever direction I turn, the lightning strikes. That magic lasts for 1 minute. Maybe it was just good luck. Lightning halts. It starts to rain. Walk back to my cabin. Suddenly, an intense flash of light blinds me from the trees that were beside the path, just like someone turned on a strong flashlight in the bush for half a second. Stand awestruck for a few seconds. Grab my flashlight and look around. Nothing. Rational side of me thinks it's some weather phenomena. Ball lightning maybe. After about 10 minutes of staying inside, I start feeling very energetic. Go out while the rain is pouring. Like electricity is flowing through my body. I feel these heat waves flowing through my arms and legs. Get chills. It just gets more intense. I feel happier and more thrilled than ever. I look up at the sky and feel like I've received a telepathic message. It says, "This is how humans will feel all the time in 20 years. Enjoy it." I start jumping around thinking I could fly away, just feeling pure bliss. My body feels so light and free. I wish for the entire world to feel like this. Start thinking that maybe they are. Maybe everyone has been tuned to this higher frequency. Sit down after jumping around for a few minutes. Still feeling it, my pineal gland is pulsating, and I don't even feel the rain touching me. Wish for this to never stop. Just as I do, it starts wearing off. Feels bad, man, but feels good to have experienced that. Sleep great, wake up, everything's back to normal.
When I was 13 or 14, I was still afraid of the dark, so I always slept with the lights on. One night, I woke up to the feeling of my blankets being pulled off of me. I also slept with my blankets over my head, as an extra precaution against whatever I was afraid of at night. So I wake up feeling the blanket move, and they're suddenly thrown up in the air, like when someone's trying to spread a blanket evenly across the bed. In my memory, the blanket was ceiling level before it drifted back down, but I don't know how high they were actually thrown. As the blankets drift back down across my field of vision into a pile at the foot of the bed, I see a kid with blonde hair sitting at the edge of my bed, smiling the creepiest smile at me. Like he knew he was terrifying me, and he was ecstatic to know that I wouldn't be able to fall back asleep. He was sitting at the foot of the bed for maybe a second or two. Then he just blinked out of existence. 1 second, I was staring into his green eyes. The next, I was looking at my closet door. I got up and looked under the bed and in the closet, but there was no sign anyone had been there. Usually people tell me I was probably dreaming when I repeat this story, but he was there. I was sitting upright in bed when I made eye contact with him, and I sat there with the blankets in a heap staring at that spot for a while before I got up.
Be me. Couple years ago, get radio alarm iPhone dock for birthday. Oh sweet, I've been needing one of these for my room. Everything's fine for the first couple of months. One night, radio just turns on randomly. I'm still up because of insomnia. Freak the fuck out. Wonder what the hell is going on. Radio is producing static. Get up and turn it off. As soon as my feet touch the floor, the radio starts saying something. Female voice. Please, static. Your help, static. Need it. Stop dead in my tracks. Mind going 1,000 times per hour trying to figure out what to do next. Open my mouth to reply, but nothing comes out. Eventually get enough courage to turn the radio off. Brush it off as my mind playing tricks. Few weeks later, insomnia under control, about to fall asleep at a decent time. Just as I'm about to sleep, the radio turns on again. Says something slightly different now. Help me, please. Static. I beg you. Freak out again. Don't say shit and turn it off. Months go by with incidents like this happening at random. Sometimes one night after another. Sometimes not after weeks and weeks. Each time it's something different. Get used to it. Strangely comforting. Renovate house. Change the layout of my room. Radio can no longer receive power and can't move it to my bedside table because there isn't enough room. Haven't used it since last July. That's about the only paranormal thing that has happened to me.
Be me. Live in wealthy part of town in Maryland. Nice little forest near my house, walk the dog there and shit. I drink a lot of coffee cause I can't 420 cause parole. One day at yard sale, see a spooky mask. Kinda like Scarecrow from Batman mixed with First Friday the 13th mask. SpookyAwesome.jpg. Get old overalls, boots and a hatchet. Drive down to the forest drinking Red Bull and espresso shots. Basically legally high feeling like an idiot. Start walking up a trail. Smell 420. Oh shit, they gonna get it. .gif. Jump out the bushes A-Truck style. Two guys and a girl smoking a bowl. Girl loses her shit. One guy tries to fight me off. Bitch, please, I'm almost 10 years older than you. Pull out hatchet, start raving at them. Bitches start running and I hightail to my car and leave. Do it a few more times when I'm drunk or bored. Every now and then draw chaos magic sigils on stones or carve into trees. Talk to my friend's cousin one day. She goes to high school still. Says be careful, 'cause rumors of crazy Axeman / potato bag murder. Says one girl in her class shat her pants and never came back to school. potatobagman.html.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.